Welcome, golf fans. It's Draft for Upside. It is Tuesday night, our new night. We're going to do Tuesdays. Gives us a whole day to get our info out there, answer your questions. It is RBC National PGA Week. We had a fun time last week. You can catch us every week at draftforupside.com, DRAUGHT, as in draft beer, the number 4, upside.com. We like beer, isn't that right, Adam? Or Adam, he's not here. Screw that guy. Chris, we like beer? You like beer? I like beer.
Yeah, I like beer, so I'm drinking some beer. I just had a Velocirabbit from Aslan Brewing over in Alexandria, Virginia, and now I'm drinking a Rebel hazy IPA. This comes from A Draught Theory over in somewhere in Virginia, Vint Hill, Virginia. Really good. This was canned on 6/3. It is it's delicious. They have a lot of delicious stuff too, so it's always nice because we can get these really, really fresh. And then next up, I have a Deutsches Baklava, a pastry stout. That's what I'm about to open.
Aha. And Mr. Mark, how about you?
I am drinking year-old all-day IPA because I'm poor, yes. And I found it in the back of my refrigerator.
I like that. Did it survive like moving to Virginia? It stayed in the Michigan refrigerator, and then when you moved back to Michigan, it was still there?
Correct.
Oh, that's amazing. That's an amazing story.
It's actually not bad. I mean, it lost a lot of aroma, but the hop flavor is still there.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm amazed. It's very drinkable still.
I feel like, you know how when you go to Amazon and you see things for sale and you go to their reviews and they're sometimes ridiculous? I feel like you should get on that on Founder's webpage and make a very long story.
There you go.
I think it would entertain.
I had this year-old all-day IPA.
Well, I am currently drinking absolutely nothing because heartburn is kicking my ass, but I might go take some Tums here in a minute and try to power through something for the good of the listeners.
I think that's a good idea.
I think they'd appreciate it.
All right. Hey, Chris, before we get going, we talked a little bit about your esports play last week. How'd the week go for you?
The esports part of it went really well. Let's see. Took down the late tournament 2-game slate on Friday for the LEC. Took down the 2-game tournament Friday night for the LCS. I think, what did I do on Saturday? Saturday or Sunday, I took down another late tournament, and I think I had one of the live ones I took third. So did really, really well. Not to be outdone, my LCS, which was the last slate on Sunday, I cashed absolutely nothing. Did terrible. It was disgusting. It was gross. But overall, it's pretty good. We've got the big opening night tonight for the LCK, which is the Korean League. So some interesting games along with the Chinese League going on. So we got a 4-game slate. We're done with these regular 2-game slates, so we get some differentiation. And I don't know why people are super excited about it, because everybody's just still going to play the Chinese teams because they're in better game environments. But hey, whatever, whatever makes people feel good.
I didn't understand any of it, but it seems like you're doing well.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, we'll go back to, let's see, the Charles Schwab last week. I think we hit on quite a few players. Mark was pretty high on Mr. Berger. Adam shot him down, but he won the championship. Did you have him in any lineups, Mark?
I did. I had him in my main lineup on DraftKings, which didn't get me the Millie Maker, but I won all my cash games.
Well, that's good.
Most importantly, I beat Mr. Adam White by half a point in our podcast team game.
I like it. I love when that happens. I crashed and burned in that team. I think I had maybe 4 missed cuts. It wasn't good. I had John Rahm, I had Webb Simpson. I had a huge group of people who missed cuts in the high end of the bracket. Hard to do these things when they've been laid off for 3 months and not knowing what's going on. So it'll be fun, though. I think we got a good insight into this week's course. The Heritage here plays a lot like Colonial. So I think it's going to give us a little insider edge on this week. So, Mark, why don't you give us a course breakdown?
Sure. We're playing Harbor Town Club Links. This is on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. So it's one of my all-time favorite courses. I've actually played it. It's a beautiful course. Par 71. The key to it is it has the tightest fairways and the smallest greens of any course on tour. And the difference between Colonial and Harbor is the Harbor is tree lined. So if they spray it out of the fairway and into the rough, they're almost always going to be punching it out. So the average driving length on this course is around 270, which means a lot of these bombers are pulling out 3-woods. They're pulling out long irons because it's all about accuracy. And then, like I said before, the greens are the smallest on tour. They're very difficult to hit. So, stats I am personally looking for is strokes gained approach. Off the tee, I'm going to go for bogeys avoided third. And then I'm going to go for the ARG stat. And one that I usually...
on Bermuda greens, too.
Well, that's good. Yeah. And the one my fifth one, which is a little different than normal, is I'm going to go for strokes gained ball striking. It's more of an accuracy stat. It's not really huge in the DFS world, but I think it fits this case very well.
Dig it. Chris, any other alternative things you were looking at? I know you dove a little deeper last week into what stats correlated to some winners from the Colonial course. What do you got here?
I don't have anything.
Ha! You got some booze or something clinking around back there, so that's something.
Yeah, I just opened the pastry stout baklava from Deutsches. Let's see. Let's talk about what this is. This is bourbon, port, and sherry barrels. It's an English ale yeast with a Belgian Trappist yeast, and then special ingredients were cinnamon clove, some type of weird honey, and almond flavor. So,
okay. Well, you're making me. I gotta go get a beer. I can't be left out. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, Mark, where are we going to start? Are we going to start at the top tier here? What are we designating as that top tier, like 9,000 and above, or?
I like to start in the 5. Let's lump the five digit golfers as one. So let me pull it up here.
All right. Well, there's 6 of those gentlemen.
All right. So top tier, we have Rory, we have JT, we have DeChambeau, we have Rahm, and we have Xander. So are any of those 5 floating your boat?
I'm liking Bryson. So the 3 guys that I'm targeting in that top range, and I'm probably going to have a 2-1-2. I'm doing 3 lineups. So I like Sanjay M, I like John Rahm, I like Bryson. So I'm going to sprinkle those guys together and kind of in some type of order. But not looking at any stats aside from course history, I think Bryson has a kind of a real nice hit or miss type of situation going here. So I'm probably going to put him in one lineup. I think Sanjay M is probably the safest of the 3 of those, despite not having wonderful course history here. His recent form is pretty fantastic. So that's kind of where I'm at with those guys right now.
Yeah,
I forgot. I'm back to the wheelhouse here in Colin Morikawa myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say I forgot to mention Morikawa's at
he's so hot,
10,000.
Man. Yeah, he's so hot. He hasn't been missing cuts at all. I really like how his short game isn't the greatest, but I feel like his accuracy is on par. His approach game is awesome. If he just sinks a couple more putts, I mean, he wins last week.
I mean, to be honest, though, we don't want them to be on par. We want them to be subpar.
Right. True.
That was a good one.
Zinger. So I'm with you though, man, and I'm on John Rahm again. Screw it. He burned me last week. Right back in the saddle.
Yeah, and I feel that way too. When we get down to the next tier, I'm going to jump back on the Webb Simpson train. I kind of feel last week was a warm up. So.
Yeah. I think I might put a lineup together that's the all-cut team. All guys that got cut last week.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't be a bad
I thought you
play.
were talking about your lineups from last week.
No, yeah. Yeah,
just
I'm going to
repeat
play him
your
again,
lineup.
Chris. I'm going to play him again. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
You're going to export the same CVS file in?
That's right. Correct. Just so you know, I decided if I'm going to push through heartburn that I would go ahead and get a 2020 Bourbon Barrel Age Expedition Stout from Bell's Brewery.
Oh, you suck. I love that
Yeah.
beer. I so love that beer.
So good.
Yeah.
Packaged on 5/18/2020. I want to say this thing's like almost 14%. I'm sitting in the dark, so it's hard to read their label.
Is it a bomber or did you get a 4-pack?
No, it's just a 12-ounce, a single 12-ounce bottle.
Oh, man. I got to find that. I love that beer so much.
Well,
Anyways.
so sorry.
That's all right.
So sorry.
Out of this tier for me, I mean, Rory comes out. My model is number 1, but I don't know if I can pay 11-3. That's
happen almost every week, though, right?
It is, but it's a matter of he played really good for 3 rounds last week. So did he tuck her out? What happened to that 4th round? So there's a possible bounce back. I don't think I'll play many lineups with him. Out of this tier, my main guy is going to be Morikawa, and then JT. I really like the way JT played last week, and this course is another great fit for him. So I'm going to have a couple of lineups where he's my top guy.
Yeah, speaking of JT, when I was looking at my bookie today, I noticed that I still have a bet on and $10 for him to win the Masters. Funny.
That's great.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can make an argument for most of these guys, so it's.
Yeah, I think it's
good.
personal preference when you're up this high, and it's more about lineup construction at this point. That's why I like Morikawa's hot. I agree with you, and he's right at 10,000, which makes him way more manageable in a lineup than, say, Rory at 11-3.
And just like last week, there's so many names in this field that ownership's really going to be spread out. I mean, the highest owned guy I had last week in a 20 max setup was 18%.
Yeah, and this field is huge. This field usually averages about 120 golfers, 154.
Mm-hmm.
It was 155 until Chris's boy Kevin withdrew.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's move on down. What we got for the 9,000s here, Mark?
For the 9,000, so I'm going to start out with, this is where I'm going to go back to Webb Simpson.
There's only 4 guys, so
yeah. Well, I'm going to go back to Webb Simpson. I think this is a course that fits his game perfectly. I think last week was him shaking off the rust. And if you look at his rounds, he had a horrible first round, but then he came back the second round and he missed the cut on the bubble. So I think it was just shaking off the rust. So I'm going to go right back to the well and throw him in that lineup with Morikawa. I
like that. A guy I like who skills kind of lines up, but I'm scared off because he hasn't played. Hideki. His skill set just is really good for these kind of courses, but I'm just worried about the rust with him. So I think I'm going to stay away, but I don't know. I might sneak him into one of my 20 lineups.
Yeah, if you have 20 lineups, I would sneak him in one. You said, he fits the course perfectly, but he hasn't played in 3 months.
Yeah, I'm with Chris 100%. Sanjay M, big target for me this week, and I like a little Justin Rose again too, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Sung J M, I think, is the only guy around the 9,000. I've got a bunch of guys under that I'm targeting more. I mean, I think you can make a case for Webb Simpson, Justin Rose. I think you make a case for all of these guys. It's just where my construction is. I like a lot of Bryson. I like him, and I like those guys more than I like some of the other guys. And if you're putting those 2 guys in, or you're putting in some John Rahm, those are my 3 top targets. I really can't put somebody else from that without dumpster diving a little bit too much. So that's where I'm at. I have a lot more to say about the next range that we'll probably get into here.
Oh, I might as well just get right into it. I mean, all 4 of the guys in the 9,000 range are perfectly fine plays, and I'm leaning Sung J M, but I don't blame you for going back against Webb. I am going to put together this all-cut team. I just made a note, so get that down.
You do like your theme teams.
I love my theme teams, man. I love it. Speaking of the next range, I half-heartedly pressured myself to pick Jordan Spieth. I put him in a couple of lineups. He played well last week. But there's some real stars in this $8,000 range. Chris, why don't you kick us off?
Well, we got the guy that won last week, Daniel Berger, and I'm probably not playing him. I've got three main targets here. I don't have a problem with almost anybody in this range. I think Spieth and Brooks are okay plays, but they're not where I'm going to go. I'm going to this like combination of three guys that are right next to each other. I like Tony. Tony is my guy to win. I've got Matt Kuchar, who I dislike, and then I've got Gary Woodland. That's a core three for me. I think that's in my $1 million lineup, and I say that by thinking that's the lineup that's going to win. I'm only entering the Millie Maker, and those three guys are going to be in my core lineup. So,
dude, it's so funny you said that. I almost threw something because you said the three guys there. My three favorite guys who are the core of my grouping so far are Matt Kuchar, Tony Finau, and Abraham Answer. So you went one above, I went two below, but I love this range. Answer was a big part of my lineups last week, the only reason why I ended up salvaging any kind of money. And I really like him. And yeah, Kuch is a course history guy here, big time, huge. Mark, what do you like?
So I do like Berger again. However, at 8,900 and the fact that he won last week, he's going to be highly owned, so I'm avoiding him.
Yeah. That's possible. I'm going to look to see what they've got him at here. Go ahead,
sure.
Keep chatting.
I like Reed. Reed again's a solid play. I like Jordan Spieth. I mean, I don't trust him, but I think I might take a flyer on him in a cash lineup. Brooks, man, he just looks like garbage. DJ, what's going on with that? He hasn't had a good round in almost a whole year now. I love your three plays, Chris. I was looking at that same combination right in a row there. For my personal lineup construction, where I have Morikawa and Simpson as my top two, I went with, in this range, I went with Answer and Hatton. Don't forget Hatton, coming off of the wrist surgery at the end of last year, before the lockdown quarantine, was on fire. So I'm hoping he's shaking off the rust. He's coming back, and he's going to win me some money this week.
Fantasy Nationals got Daniel Berger only projected at 8.1% ownership, but they have Webb Simpson at 18.3%.
Wow.
As the
that's
number
crazy. One. That's crazy. We'll see when we get closer.
Yeah, maybe a lot of people are feeling exactly like you are. He just won. We're not going to take that dude. He's not going to win two in a row. So,
dude, I will look at
top five.
Yeah, I will look at ownership Wednesday night, and if he's still that low, I'm going to be throwing him in a lineup.
Yeah, I mean, the recent form, man, it's huge, right? So
yeah, golfers get hot. They get on streaks. It's a very streaky sport.
Okay. Keep an eye on him. Yeah, the top four guys right now: Webb Simpson, Sung Jae In, Justin Thomas, and probably my favorite guy in the top 7,000s, Ian Poulter. So let's start with him. How do you feel about Mr. Poulter? I love his pants. His pants game is always on fire.
He's okay. I can see where people
he's
are
a ball striker. He's a stick player, man. I mean, this is his kind of course.
It is. I'm just not a Poulter fan. I don't know.
He's the best dressed guy in the game.
I know. He's just never been exciting to me.
Well, and I feel like if Adam were here, he would have some negative things to say. He's a huge Ian Poulter hater. Really, really big non-fan of his. Not really sure what type of animosity he has built up over Ian Poulter, but anytime we've mentioned him, I've felt like there's been more vitriol than when I mentioned Jim Furyk and Kevin Na. And I think I'm personally responsible for Jim Furyk's resurgence. Because the guy, I mean, look, last week you could have played him in cash, not necessarily in huge GPPs, but the dude had a good game. And we're not quite there yet, so I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop with my Jim Furyk.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. All right, so we're dipping into the 7,000 here, fellas. A couple of guys I have starred here. Jason Kokrak, we liked him a lot last year in several games.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did. I did.
No one ever liked Jason Kokrak.
No, not true. He's
never a good play. He's never a good play.
Well, I'm going to play him, so stay away from him.
He's your Shane Lowry.
He's not my Shane Lowry. I'm not going to play him that much. But Shane Lowry might be my Shane Lowry. I'm playing the all-cut team. So, anyways, I like Billy Ho here at 77. I like Joel Damon, JT Poston, same guys from last week, man. I mean, this course fits those same guys well. So make a case for guys we didn't play last week.
Go ahead,
I mean,
Chris.
Bubba Watson's had some good course history here. I mean, decent, anything crazy, but he's a guy that projects out well. I think that's a guy that we kind of steered away from last week. I think he's a guy, and another guy that grades well on this little spreadsheet I shared with you guys is Rory Sabatini. I'm taking a look at it, and I don't understand why. But it seems like he's got a little check marks around him. So let's.
Right. I should play. You're saying I should play Rory and Rory to start every team.
You should play all Rorys. Like,
yes.
Can you get 6 of them in there? Can you get guys that are named like Rory or something that has some?
All right, you guys chat amongst yourself. I'm going to look into this. Are people whose names have all the letters to spell Rory? I can do this. I think I can make this happen.
So there's another guy in the 7K range that I want to mention. He doesn't seem to have any checks, but he is a guy that seems to have a nice projection. Looking at some of his numbers, they're okay. I mean, look, he's 7,000, okay? But he's a guy that you're gonna like, Johnny, and that is Mr. Gooch. I am playing
list, right?
Gooch. I am playing some Gooch in one of my 3 lineups. That means I have 33% Gooch.
Hey man, I put $2 on him on my bookie. You know he's my man.
Absolutely. When I saw him, he has actually one of the highest projections in my little spreadsheet here, and that actually doesn't make sense to me, but that's because projections are stupid.
Aha! I have him circled in checkmark. That's the highest honors from Johnny Danger. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of the regular suspects here that all grade out well. Like I was saying, Damon, Poston, Neiman, the guys we talk about week after week, guys from last week, Harris English, Adam Hadwin, they all grade out well here. Bud Colley seems to be way over-owned for where he's at. $7,200, projectionally owned 9.9%. Brian Harmon played pretty well. I mean, all these guys we had kind of talked about last week. Mark, any of these other guys that we didn't hype up last week that you might want to take a look at this week in the 7,000 range?
Yeah, for me, it's Kevin Kisner. So
Mr. Kid.
We didn't talk a lot about him last week, and what he did is he went out and he threw a ho-hum, 4 rounds under par, tied for 29th. Nice. He played really well, really steady. This is a course where he's been a runner-up at, and I don't know. I just have this feeling he shook off the rust, and he's gonna get a top 10 finish.
See, I have a hard time with Kisner because I love the Tour Junkies podcast because they're basically us who just specialize in golf. They drink the whole show, they get drunk, they make silly bets. I love them, but they're like personal friends with Kisner's caddy. So I have a hard time when they recommend them. Are they really recommending them, or are they just fluffing their boy?
Speaking of silly bets, I thought it was very ingenious of Mark to assign the money last week from Johnny Danger, who tends to pay on time, to himself, and I get the money from Adam White, who you have to wait like 6 months
who can't
to
even
chase
show up
down.
for a show.
Can't show up for a show. Pretends he doesn't have PayPal, that type of stuff.
So
you want like $20.
You want to hear something really funny,
He
Chris?
assigned me because he knew I'd give him poker chips on Big Dog.
No. Honestly, the funniest thing is I did it in alphabetical order, so there wouldn't be any controversy. It just fell that way.
I was like, this dude just like, he knows Adam's gonna take forever to pay me, and he also knows that I don't care. Like right now.
Nah, I think he knew that I was going to offer him poker chips instead of PayPal.
Yeah, I love that, man. I was out of cash game chips, so you refilled my stock.
There you go, buddy. I got
you. Hey,
you.
before we go into the next realm, I've got a guy that I think is going to go way under the radar. I think he's a guy that grades out really well, and that he's going to go under the radar because he missed the cut last week, but he really shouldn't have missed the cut. I mean, as far as a bad luck, like a bad putt at the end to lose the tournament type deal. That's Max Homa. I think he bogeyed or double bogeyed on the last hole or something pretty
Yeah.
close to that to miss the cut. Really killed one of my lineups, but I like him. I think his recent form is good. I think he grades out. Obviously, if we're seeing that this course is similar, I mean, he played well. I mean, he played well enough to make the cut, and at 7,000, I think he provides some good value.
Mm-hmm. So another guy I bet money on in the 6,000 range. Now that we're going to get beyond there, and yeah, Max Homa, my homie, man, for sure. I'm with you. Interesting fella, and it looks like we're not the only ones thinking that because he's under 7,000, and he's one of the highest owned guys down there. But Matthew Naismith shot 2 eagles last week and just seems to be kind of on fire. 6,600, not a bad guy to go dumpster diving with. Other deep bargains that I've been pointed to: Bronson Burgoon down at 64. I like Carlos Ortiz again. I think I was sound in my reasoning last week. It didn't pan out. I'm probably going to take another swing at him. He's going to be almost completely unowned. Same with Adam Long. I like both those guys again this week. They pop out of there. And then I've got one guy down at 6,000. Do I have a guy down at 6,000? I thought I had a guy down at 6,000.
I hope you don't.
Where'd he go? Is he not on this list?
Davis left in third.
Did he withdraw? Is he gone?
You really shouldn't be playing anybody at 6,000.
Well, he's on the other list, but he's not on the ownership projection list. Is that bad? Let me find him on the other list. Spencer Ralston, college kid out of Georgia.
It's because he has no stats. That's why.
Yeah, it's because he's a college kid playing as an amateur, I believe.
Yeah, he has no stats. That's why you're not finding him.
Probably my tipsy pick. I like it. That is absolutely as tipsy as you can get.
So how many lineups are you guys playing this week? I'm playing 3. So I almost, I wish we could set up these little tournaments where we could multi-enter against each other, and whatever. It's still $10 or we do
like. Oh, we absolutely can, my friend. I can just make 10 of these 3-person tournaments, and then we can just do cumulative tournaments. That's fine. I can do that.
That's.
Yeah, I typically make 2 lineups, 1 cash, 1 GPP.
I'm making 20 because I'm a glutton for punishment.
What are you putting your 20 in?
I'm putting it in $3 20 max GPP.
$3 20 max GPP. Do you want to? So what's that? $60. $60. Do you want to bet on a return on that $60? If I make 20 lineups and put them in the GPP, I mean, I just feel like it's just really beating a dead horse at that point. Like if you lost $60. I don't want to take more money from you at that point, I'm not sure. I don't know. I was going to say I can make 20 lineups, you make 20 lineups, and whoever has the best return on their, $60 investment wins something. I don't know. Maybe we can ship each other some beer, completely legally, of course.
All right. For sure. Yeah, man. I mean, sure. Why not? Screw it. I'm just burning through all my poker profitability by throwing away on DFS. It seems very logical.
All right, let me go reserve these lineups right now. So we're gonna go with the 3. What's the name of it? The $3.
Yeah, it's $25,000 to first place.
All right, hang on. Here we go.
That's not bad,
Yeah, I ain't got no $60 to drop on this.
All right, here it is. Let's go. All right, so we are gonna enter
PGA Tour 250K birdie. That's what it's called.
Okay, and then I'm gonna max reserve the max. There we go. All right, I'm in. So
I'm a terrible player, right? And that you're just going to take more money from me, and you're going to feel bad about it.
I won't feel bad about it. I will tell you about my CS:GO performance from earlier today. I put in $66, and I'd say about 50 of that was in the big tournaments, but I did 2 dime entries just to, earn some crowns and have some skin in the game today. And I'm right now winning $3. So I basically last night around 11 o'clock just clicked a bunch of things because I think that's what CSGO amounts to, is just clicking things. And apparently I was wrong. But that being said, what are the terms for this wager? What are we sending beer back and forth?
I think a beer wager is excellent. That's what I think.
What size box are we talking?
Oh, I don't know. 6-pack. Mixed 6-pack of deliciousness.
I think we can go. How about an 8-pack of 16 ounces?
Yeah. Well, whatever I can find.
Well, okay. So that's 32.64. How about 128 ounces? However you want to do it. 128 ounces.
Well, I mean, I have access to world-class beer for free, so I'm in.
I know, and that's what makes me feel better about this for you. And look, the last time you shared world-class beer with me, I was kicked out of several bars.
We got drunk in a truck.
We got drunk in a truck. I barely made it home. Got into an argument about socialized medicine with my Lyft driver. He dropped me off at CJ Barrymore's and was kind enough after I berated him to actually take me the mile down the road to my house, which I didn't know the address, but I knew how to get to. And, that was, man, I thought about that night today, actually. I was driving and I was thinking about how big and fluffy my beard is right now. And that if we went for mustaches right now, I'd look more like Hulk Hogan than I would Gardner Minshew. Minus the blondness and
that was an epic day. I still have the photos from us all dressed like Gardner Minshew. It was epic.
Yeah, the kids here actually have my my headband somewhere.
Yes, I love it. All right, it's in. All right, well, guys, I guess we will have to get Adam White's input via text message and maybe put some quick picks out. You can find us at draftforupside.com, DRAUGHT like draft beer. You can find us Draft for Upside on Facebook, Twitter, the whole gambit. We'll get an article out tomorrow for everybody with a small amount of players that we like.
We're going to do tipsy picks?
Hopefully Adam's input for sure. We will be distributed out through the Sports Guys with Lou Landers and all those. Sports Crew. Yeah, the Sports Crew with Lou Landers. We appreciate him. We didn't get out last week because, of course, we finished this at like 10 p.m. Wednesday night, and the round kicked off at like 6:50 in the morning the next day. But, we did it for our own knocking the rust off, right?
Right.
So,
are we doing a tipsy pick?
Of course we're doing a tipsy pick. Could we?
I just felt like you were signing off.
No, I am signing off. That's true. But hold on for the tipsy pick because I already have said mine. Spencer Ralston. I believe he is the Georgia kid that I was listening to earlier today. 6,000 bare minimum. It is as tipsy as it gets. I feel like I should get 1.5 his score because I went so low.
No, I'm going right down with you at 6,000. I'm taking the old man Ernie Els.
Oh, Ernie Els.
I am going at the top of it because I am risk adverse in this situation, and I am going with favorite of the pod. I am going with the Chesticle.
Yes, I love it. All right,
Where's he?
We got
6,800.
We got Ralston. I feel like Chris has this one in the bag. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I
think we need to change the tipsy pick to be like 6,300 and under.
6,300 and under. If I had to go 6,300 and under, I am gonna go.
There's actually a couple guys I like there, so
I'm gonna go with Kyle Stanley here.
Yeah, I like Adam Long, Carlos Ortiz. I don't mind Stanley.
So we are assessing a penalty to Adam, and he gets Stuart Sink.
Yes, Stuart Sink. Watch him come out and win the thing.
Doesn't have very good course history here.
Give him Bo Van Pelt.
All right, am I moving you over
Chris
to
Stroud? Chris Stroud is the only guy on my like thing here that has like just cut 80, 69. I mean, I don't even think those are qualifying. Those are cuts.
All right, so let's Are we doing? Let's do 6,300 and under. So.
All right. Well, this time. Sometimes the field is different.
Wow.
So.
Wow. It's like the current administration moving the goalposts.
That's right. Move the goalposts.
It's just they're tipsy picks. You're supposed to be tipsy. You're not. It's not supposed to be someone you can actually justify the play.
I mean, let's. Oh, okay, all right. Like the Chesticle is a guy that's a good play here. I mean, come on.
One. He's better than Ernie Els.
Yeah, but okay. Well, look, I'm not drinking year-old all-day IPA either. Like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I can't believe you didn't go with Davis Love III, Johnny. Like, I mean, that seems.
Hey,
like
dude, I already put my $2 in. $3,000 if he wins. Just saying. He has the best course history here. Period.
Guys, I just we're talking about names here, and I just want you to know that I'm betting an enormous amount of money on a guy named Ding Wang.
Yes. Yes.
Of course you are.
That's my guy. I mean, not in golf. He's in the Chinese League of Legends league, also known as Puff, but his name is Ding Wang, and I just noticed it.
That's perfect. I love it. All right, guys. Well, I got nothing else. Let's get the hell out of here.
All right, now you can properly sign off.
All right, I've been Johnny Danger. With me was Brewery Mark and Chris Esports Embrick. We have been Draft for Upside. We'll see you next week.
See you.